Hey, everybody. Welcome to another live version of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations. I'm your host, Dom. Um, First things first, before we get into it this week, I have a code for you guys for Valentine's Day. You better put your orders in now because Valentine's Day is next Tuesday. Use code LOVE at checkout. You get 30% off your purchase of $50 or more. Again, that's code LOVE at checkout at Saint, SAINT dash Angelus, ANGL. Whoop, that is not it. ANGELES.com/candles. Use that code, get your stuff because we have two new amazing scents as well. And y'all, it's a vibe. We listen, we selling experiences out here with these candles. So make sure y'all check that out. Use that code at checkout. I already have a lot of people that have bought things. One of the new scents is almost sold out, so you better get it while you can. So that's it. We're going to get into the show this week. We have a new guest, a new face to the show, and this is Adriana Trail.
Hey
What's up,
y'all.
girl?
What's up? Thank you for having me, sis. I'm so ready to talk my shit, have a good time with you.
It kind of like falls in line with everything for like Valentine's Day. Like last week, we talked about the art of foreplay, things that you should not do in the bedroom. And now we're getting this experience of dating and potentially could have had a Valentine and then things just kind of went left. I
Yeah.
saw the story on Instagram and I was just thoroughly intrigued. Like, so tell my people what happened, girl.
Okay, people. Get ready, get prepared for this because it sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and I promise it's true. So I'm trying something other than Hinge. I'm on what is Coffee Meets Bagel. So I'm trying this new dating app. I'm talking to this guy, and basically it gives you time. So you only have a week to talk and match. And if you don't, the app will unmatch for you. If you don't like the person, you can unmatch yourself. So I'm talking to this guy for a couple of days. Like it's really good conversation. We're talking about like moving to LA, life as Black people in LA, all this stuff. Like it's really good conversation. Like 2 days, great. So then we get to the second day and we're talking and we're trying to get to know, like, what do you do for fun? Like, what are your hobbies? Because one of my goals for 2023 is to explore other creative outlets. So we were talking about hobbies. He was like, I'm trying archery. I'm like, oh, that's different. I ain't never heard of that. Let's do something together. Like we're talking. And then he said, so what about you? And I said, well, I really like to bowl. I'm learning how to draw on my iPad. But I said, recently I've gotten into painting. He's like, that's dope. Like, I love creative women. Whoop, whoop, de whoop. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of me. I write all this stuff. He's like, well, let me see your painting. And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like to myself. I want to keep something to myself. He begged me, y'all. When I say beg me. So then I finally sent him a picture of my painting. I should have had it. If y'all want to see the painting, let me know. I sent him a picture of my painting, and then he unmatched with me. I sent the picture, put my phone down. I was like, okay, like, that's vulnerable. I'm being vulnerable. I just share him my picture. I'm proud of it. And come back to my phone. I'm scrolling through and I'm like, wait a minute. Did this thing unmatch with me? He unmatched with me, y'all. He saw the painting and he unmatched with me. I don't even think it's that bad for him to do that, but we ain't going nowhere.
But y'all was talking for 2 days and seemed to be vibing, and then you just unmatched me. You just like, how you gonna date app ghost me?
Date app ghosted me over my painting, which I'm not Picasso yet, but it wasn't bad. Like I'm sharing with you, like I didn't tell you to send me a video of you doing archery because maybe your form was off and I could have unmatched with you. I didn't say that, but you asked me to send you a picture of my painting. It's giving ungrateful. It's giving ungrateful.
That's so weird because I saw that and I was like, damn, like people really out here do that. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny because my sister was telling me about some guy that she, like is doing a dating app thing too. And she said that she was gonna unmatch with somebody. She's like, I'm not sure if that's who.
Mhm.
These pictures are a little questionable. One picture looked like Sean King, so I felt like she totally should unmatch.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking that, wow, it's kind of worse than a real world. Like
Mhm.
interacting, you can go to the bar, you meet a guy, and then he ghosts you or you ghost him.
Mhm.
It's like you had this intense conversation going on, and it seemed like you might have had a date for Valentine's Day. Seemed to have things in common, and
Mhm.
he was like, "I don't like this painting."
He said, "Never mind." He said, "Get somebody else to do it." I
I
changed.
mean, I think that's just so bizarre, and
Mhm.
I was trying to like research like the amount of numbers
Mhm.
where people like unmatch with people, and I couldn't find a solid number, but I was finding a lot of articles about people saying that you probably should never unmatch somebody.
Mm.
You should, nor should you like ghost them or anything or stop responding. But they were saying that because if you are willing to even put yourself out there, this person put themselves out there, that you should probably really kind of give them a chance, even if y'all have like similarities or certain things in common.
Yeah.
So it's like really weird. Like, what was the conversation like even prior to that happening?
I want to say it was easy. Like, when you like dating apps, it's always like the beginning of a conversation are always the same. Like, hey, how's your day? Why are you on this app? That just the kind of like the icebreakers. But what was different here was like the interest of like getting to know one another through text and not automatically like, let's meet up. Like, let's meet up. It was like, let's take our time. So like we talked about what we were
Right,
watching. I made fun of him for watching some cartoon on Cartoon Network. Like it was like good conversation. Like I could have judged him for watching Cartoon Network, but I didn't.
okay, wait, hold on. But what cartoon on Cartoon Network?
Craig of the Creek.
Oh, see, I don't know what that is.
But it's like a black cartoon, but it's a new age cartoon, but it's
Okay,
like with black kids. And so
okay.
we're talking, like basically what's your guilty pleasure, da da da. He was like, really, it's Craig of the Creek on Cartoon Network, and I could have unmatched with him then, but I didn't.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But it was like just easy, like it wasn't any pressure. And I think when it comes to dating apps and like messaging and stuff, it's like it feels like a lot of pressure for this to go somewhere because
yeah.
you have so many options. And so it's like if I'm not interested in like the first couple of hours or day, I could just go to the next because you're not the only one I matched with. And so maybe he was like, well, that picture did it. I got other girls that I'm talking to over here.
Oh,
I'm
weird.
not sure, but I don't know. For me, I don't ever unmatch. I just let it die down. That's not mature. I just let it
Yeah, I think there's certain things at our age, and I don't know, like we look young, so you could very well be 23, but I know I'm turning 36.
die. Okay.
It's so
I'm turning 30, Aquarius.
okay, yes, see, yay. I know that there are certain things that I feel like we should not do at our big ages. And I
Mm-hmm.
think mainly because sometimes I believe in sharing insight.
Mm-hmm.
What if you could have something that's a flaw or a character flaw, whatever it may be, but somebody says, "Hey, you could do this," or sometimes you might come across a little condescending. For me, that doesn't work, but I want to let you know so going forward, you can kind of be cognizant
Mm-hmm.
of like things or how you say things and relay messages to people. Something like that, where you like, oh shoot, I wasn't even aware of that. I can fix that.
Yeah.
Certain things are fixable and some are not.
Mm-hmm.
Like funky breath might not be as fixable.
Not getting past it. We're not getting
Yeah, you might need to go see the dentist or two. There's certain things like physical things that people, might not be able to pick up or fix so quickly. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we should be having certain conversations because we are old enough and should be mature enough to kind of even handle like the harsh truths and realities about things.
Yeah. 1,000%. Especially it also depends on how much you like that person.
Yeah.
Like another thing that happened to me maybe last year is like me and this guy, like we're flirting on Instagram, we see each other out. But one thing about me is like I'm a shit talker. So like I like to throw jabs back and forth. Like, how quick are you? quick on your feet, that turns me on. And for him, I talk too much shit. And so he told me, he was like, hey, shorty, you talk a little too much shit for me. Like, and I was like, oh, for real? Like, and he was like, yeah. He said, dial it back a little bit. I appreciate him being honest, but that showed me he wasn't the dude for me, because my dude like, all right, big head, and like he needs to go back and forth with me. But until this day, me and him are still cool. He may even have a girlfriend now, but I appreciate him being honest with me, because
Right.
it was just like we're not for each other then. Like, if you think I talk too much shit, I don't think you talk enough. I think you're too sensitive. So this isn't going to work. So I definitely agree with you on that. But I also, it depends on how much you like that person, because if this isn't going anywhere and I don't really care, and maybe I need to change. Maybe I need to, say, hey, this is what's not working out for me.
You know what's funny about you saying you talking too much shit is I feel like for me, to a certain extent, that I'm a little bit like that as well. But then I get irritated when people think that I'm being spicy or, doing all these things, and I'm really not. And then I'm sitting there confused, because I'm thinking about, what did I say that made you even think that I was trying to come at you any type of way? But then I realized too, in LA, a lot of people don't have voice inflection. So where we might be from, and we've dealt with different parts and different regions of the country, we're not monotone. So people take, you might be coming a little more high pitched, or if this conversation is serious, you get a little, your tone becomes serious, and you become more engaging about what's happening. And people get so thrown off by that, and they think that you're trying to be condescending or slighting them. And it's nothing. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, hold on, like,
right. You the whole time you laughing.
I'm laughing, and oh, you being sarcastic. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, I never considered that to be like a LA thing, because I'm from Atlanta, so it's a whole bunch of special, So I'm like, wow, it could definitely be an LA thing, or
I think it's an LA thing.
They take them just some people just take themselves too seriously, or social cues, like you said, they don't understand that, like, I'm saying fuck you, but I don't really mean like fuck you. I'm just laughing.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, so but then there's also a tone to it, because it's like, boy, fuck you.
Exactly.
That's joking. If I say, boy, fuck you, or something, and it comes like this, I might not be playing with you. So, but just based on the cues, and see, I'm like you, I use gestures when I speak. I get excited, I speak with my hands. And that's never really been an issue for me, except really one time. And I was trying to have, this is an old job, and I was trying to have a conversation, and somebody did something to slight me, like for real, for real. It took money in my pocket. And so then when I was trying to talk to my boss about it, I was doing this, and then he got like all upset. It's like, don't talk to me with your hands, blah, blah, blah. And then he like turned his back and walked away. And I said, and don't you ever turn away.
I know that's right.
Walk away as I'm talking to you. I'm like, if you have a problem with something, this is how I speak, and you know that. So you could have pulled me aside and had a conversation, but you trying to embarrass or disrespect me, I don't tolerate that. So it's levels. It's definitely levels to it. But it what's also interesting is just like, I cannot believe that he just was like, no, like, I'm just gonna unmatch.
Yeah, and like so weird. We didn't exchange numbers or Instagrams or anything, because like I said, it was like 2 days. And like when it comes to dating apps, my thing is now is like, I don't try to get my number too quick and stuff like that, because people crazy, they can find you with another thing. So this time, like, I'm not giving that, and so I can't even ask him like why. Like, my picture was not that bad. Like,
I don't think the picture was bad at all, because he didn't like. I don't know how coffee me. Okay, so I'm gonna say this right now.
Yeah,
I am a no dating app type of gal, and because it's so visual, And I get it. We are human beings. We see the physical first before we learn anything else about somebody. But sometimes people can be overly judgmental by the picture that you post.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, I have tried and I've never lasted more than 24 hours on it. And I always felt like I could go to a bar and meet somebody or walk down the street. I felt like I had the where I felt like I was like outgoing enough to be able to do that, right? So I remember one time I was on a dating app. Someone sent me a message, and at this time, like I had different variety of pictures. And this person was like, "Well, I don't like curls. I don't like those curls." And I'm like, "I didn't even try to reach out to you to say anything. So why would you?" I was
Yeah.
like, see, now I gotta be petty, and I wasn't trying to do that. So, but yeah, or is you're wondering if you're being catfished. And
Oh, they love to lie about their height now. That's another thing.
see, and I got a problem. See, we tall. I'm 5'9", and I am not trying to. We're in Los Angeles, and I'm going to say this to everybody watching. I'm gonna look in the camera. A lot of men out here are not tall, and if they are tall, they are dating women that are like 5'2" or 4'11". They're not dating us. They're not, and so it makes it very difficult to date because I'm a big girl. Like, I'm a big girl. I got big titties. I got big feet. I got big teeth. So it's just like, it's a lot, and it's really frustrating when that happens. And so men out here will try to say they have a couple of more inches than what they really do, and then you walk up on them and you have on heels and you getting closer and you getting closer and you're like, hello,
It's
nice to meet you. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm looking down.
And you know the crazy thing too, 2 points, because you brought up LA. I think, well, I know any other place you go, St. Louis, New York, Atlanta, the South, bitch, hot commodity. That's why, like, when I'm out here in LA and I go back home, I'm like, oh, I still got it. Because out here in LA, it's different for us.
Yeah.
I also never got into dating apps really until I came out here to LA. And I was like, well, let me try, because when I go out and maybe I'm going to the wrong places, I'm like, they're not checking for me. So let me get on the app and see, what I can find.
And I want you to explain to people what you mean by it's tough for us.
Okay.
People think I am very dramatic when I say that, but I would like to hear your perspective and why it's tough.
Okay. Love this. Well, first of all, you have a pixie cut too. Love it. I feel like LA, they want literally the Kardashian prototype. Anything that looks like a Kardashian or anybody with black features that's not a black woman. So imagine being darker complexion with short hair, which, for some reason is not feminine, but I think pixie cuts are the most feminine thing that you can have on a woman. So that's that as far as like looks wise, right? Personality wise, I feel I've been on a few dates where I'm too outspoken or talk too loud, but I'm also from the South and I'm opinionated. I'm going to have an opinion. I have a voice. I'm going to speak up. So what I realized is out here, maybe it's the Black LA natives. I don't know, but I feel like Black men aren't checking for Black women. And if they are checking for you, they're not from here. What I realized is the longer men stay out here, their preferences change to like what's expected of them in LA, if that makes sense. I've ran across people that want to have sex with you out here, but they don't necessarily want to make it official or be serious about you, because people are still curious. If they're not Black, they're still curious. And I've never dated outside my race. Maybe I should, I don't know. But they're either curious about like what a Black woman can bring to them, or if they're Black, they're like, "Ooh, I miss my chocolate women, I miss Black women, but I'm gonna go over here." So hopefully that answered your question, because I'm trying not to come from like an emotional standpoint of it, because it sucks, right? Because I feel like the men that I'm checking for aren't checking for me. And it's like, I know I look good because when I go back home to Atlanta, I can't leave the gas station without somebody saying something.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I think about it from that perspective. So once I moved to LA, it actually was my first interracial dating experiences. So I moved to LA. I was 22, fresh out of college. Had never lived on my own. Was spending a lot of time in Hollywood, and so I kind of found myself kind of in something a little similar. I will say that the majority of those statements did come from people that were not from LA. And so I was fortunate enough to come out here. I was like you, I had a job. So the people like making friends, it was no problem because they were my coworkers and a lot of them were locals, but they didn't hang out in Hollywood. So I got to see Hollywood and I got to see the other parts of LA where you can meet different people, right?
Below the 10, they say.
Yes. And so I I would say the first person that I dated, I had this, I was dating this Italian soap star.
Oh,
and I was like 20 something and he was 40. But so it was really cool. But it was like you said, it wasn't that I was like spicy or anything. I think ultimately he ghosted me. And I'm going to tell you why. So this night I spend the night at his house. I go to work from his house. I'm going to Universal Studios after I get off of work for horror nights. So whatever it does, whenever we separated ways or whatever, I said, "Oh, I'll call you later." But you already knew my schedule. And so he's calling me as I'm walking into Universal Studios. And so I'm like wondering if everything is okay, like what's happening. And then I was like, "Oh, well, I'm actually walking into Universal, like I told you, like last night or whatever." And so he was like, "Well, when you say you're going to call somebody, you should call them." Girl, he hung up on me so quick. And I never heard from him again. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, okay, something must have happened or you're being very dramatic right now, but you don't want to say. Well, I called him several times and he never called me back.
How long were y'all dating?
Girl, for like a period of time. It wasn't like, oh, this is week 2 or week 3. We were dating by this time for some months because I actually met him at my job. So it was really weird. So, but that was the thing that was happening to me. I found myself dating outside my race because I was meeting men that they would say, "Oh, I think you're very attractive. I just don't date Black women." That was like the reoccurring conversation that was happening. And so it wouldn't be until probably I'm like 2015 where someone is like trying to seriously date me. But then I found out that they have like a whole like wife, and I'm like, well, what is you on?
Child, I've been there too.
So it was the weirdest thing. And so I'm like, what is happening? But the other people that were also interested in me were older men. No one in our age bracket. And so I kind of had gotten out of that area of even dating men in our like that was a couple years older than me or same age as me, just because also the mindset too was not where I would have liked it to have been.
Right.
And so yeah, it was that. But then even now the person that I date, he actually it's funny because he's an LA native. Grew up here, all this stuff. But his family they're from where I'm from. They're from St. Louis. So it's kind of familiar, homie, though he, doesn't want to admit it. But, I'm like, you kind of have Midwestern views and values, but whatever. So well.
Yeah. Good for you. First of all, I love hearing when women are in relationships. I love that. Especially if that's what you want. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I will say this: it hasn't been the smoothest ride. It's been a long time, but
Of course.
we've been taking our time and whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I might be like, I am not messing with you, and
Mhm.
I am putting you in timeout. If
Mhm.
there's somebody else out there that we end up back together all the time, and it's just funny. He said I can't break up with him no more though. He said he's not gonna take me back. So I
He
was
said,
like, all right, don't make me mad then. Don't make me mad where I even have to do it.
listen, he said, let's make this work, sis. No, but I love hearing dating success stories in LA because I'm at a point now to where I don't even think this is a city for me to find that. Like I am having fun. Like that's why I'm able to laugh at like, oh boy, unmatching with me because I don't take it seriously. Because I guess in my mind I made up that like I'm out here to work. My friends, my community, like I met you, like I have really good people out here that I can get other types of love from.
Yeah.
I think that like now and I've only been in LA. Probably a pessimist. I've really only been here for 2.5 years.
Okay, yeah. You still getting your foot in. I've been here going
So
on
maybe that's why.
13. I feel like I'm just getting my foot in. And I'm like, I've been
Yeah.
here 13 years almost. So it's interesting because like even the industry, like sometimes the industries that you work in can kind of help you find people. And so
Mhm.
you working in entertainment, because we're gonna get to, is that an NAACP award behind you?
Oh no, girl, I wish. But no, it's a Michelle Film Festival. It's a Black-owned film festival here in LA.
Okay.
Michelle Film Festival, y'all, they're amazing. But they do have ties with like NAACP, and they're doing amazing things. So, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm claiming that. Yes, NAACP.
Yeah. I was like, that's what that looked like. Cause I know that.
Yes.
But so it's kind of depending on your industry too,
Mhm.
uh, can kind of help or hinder depending on like your work hours. But I always try to tell women like kind of be open,
Mhm.
because sometimes things that they don't show up how we would expect them to look.
Yeah.
So be open to willing to receive, though it might not be the 6'5" basketball player, whatever, whatever, you're
Yeah.
used to it being, right? And so I would even say that because in my defense, when I met my guy, that day, it was a lot happening. And so I had a client that invited me over, and she's from DC, that invited me over to our house for a barbecue. She ended up marrying an older white Jewish guy,
Mhm.
but she was like my age.
Oh man.
And so they lived like in the hills, all this stuff. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like I didn't know what her husband looked like, but I was like, oh, he might have a friend or two. So I'm gonna go. I developed a friend, like a relationship with her. Her mom, I met her mom. Her mom was really cool. So I went. Then his friends were not my type. I
Mhm.
was their type, but I was not their type, and I wasn't even really open to like, I don't even want to play with you because I don't, like I just didn't want to even play the game.
Mhm.
So after that, I went to I had a friend that's a chef. So I saw a post that he said that he was cooking Sunday dinner or whatever, fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread, all that stuff. So I just said, hey, I'm gonna, I was like, yo, send the address. Me and my home were gonna pull up, and so another friend of mine, we went. And that's where I met the guy that I've been seeing now since like 2016, off and on.
Over some
So
food. I love that. Right, I'm hungry. I'm trying to pull up. Where you at?
yeah, I was like, but it's funny because when I would never forget like when he walked in the kitchen and
Mhm.
like real fine, like,
Yeah.
and I'm very confident, but how he also appeared, I was like, man, this nigga don't date black girls. I got already too, like,
Mhm.
but I'm like, get out your head, just be cool, and we just vibe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And that's funny that you say that too, is like get out your head. Cause I wonder like how many times that I assumed somebody didn't like black girls and I didn't, pursue or approach or had a good time because I'm like, I ain't his type. How many times
yeah,
did I do that and like missed out? I'm not missed out, but like, the potential of something happening was gone, because in my mind I was like, oh, he ain't checking for me.
Closed mouths don't get fed. So I always try to strike up a conversation and see where it goes. That's something that I've never, like had an issue with. So I'm like, let's fill this out and see.
Yeah.
Well, it's some people you kind of you can kind of see what's going on around where you like, like but I just it didn't hurt to try. And it was funny because that day I knew the chef was attracted to me, but I was in no way attracted to the chef at all.
Okay.
And so that day when we left, when he said bye to me, my now guy, he like hugged me, but from behind. It was familiar. We kind of rocked, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, okay, I think
you felt
like,
that.
okay, but we never exchanged. We didn't exchange numbers or anything. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, I was so confused. But they invited us over for Taco Tuesday. So I'm trying to figure out what happened, like what's going on. How can I find this person? Can I lurk? Whatever the case may be. And so we go back over, my friend and I, and then we were. I remember, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I might have prayed.
A good prayer do everything.
I might have prayed to say if. Like, I was like, God, I don't remember this dude's name. But I think I might have meant my husband because he kind of took my breath away when I met him. Can you make sure that he at Taco Tuesday?
I know that's right. What happened?
Like, so I go over there and I go into the kitchen. I don't see him. I go to this other, I don't see him. And I was like, oh my God, he's not here. And then I go into another room and he's there, but he was talking to somebody, but I didn't care. I was like, hey, boo. And he looked up and he just kind of stared at me. And I was like, got him.
I know that's right. Hey, boo. Because use that.
Right. And so that was that. Like we were talking or whatever. I ended up sitting like in a chair like next to him. And then I like passed him my phone like really quick, like smooth, and got his number. And the rest is history. So now we have a dog that we share. She had puppies. I have the dog here. So this has been fun because he has Zaza full time. So I got visitation. So that'd be cool. But girl, having a dog full time, woo, child.
It's like a kid.
It's like having a kid and then trying to get her to understand because she's literally like a puppy. So it's been interesting, and we've had our moments, but I will say this. I'm going to give you some advice, and I'm going to give this advice to a lot of women that are watching the show and that want to know where they should go to hang out, because you mentioned you might be going to the wrong places. I'm going to assume you hang out in Hollywood a lot. Yeah, you
leave my house a lot too.
Yeah, and sometimes, hit me up. I will be your wingman and I will, help you out. The first place you should go is a sporting event. A sporting event, we have the luxury of being in LA. We have 2 basketball teams. We have 2 football teams. I ain't necessarily going to no football game. But, I will take one for the team and I will go. Sports bars are another place that you should go. Anything kind of sports related, because men will be there. A guy I used to date, I met him at a basketball game, and we had really good seats. He had good seats. He wanted me to cheer for the other team, and I was cheering for the other team. And then he was like, "If you stop cheering for them, we'll go to a playoff game." And the rest is history.
I don't know what I do.
I was like, bet it's not a problem.
Right.
So that will be a chaotic dating situation. We talk about people talking too much. He definitely talked too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an experience. So I always encourage girls, like ladies, to hit a sporting event, like take you and your homegirl. Maybe it's a couple of y'all that go. I would say no more than 3 because it can kind of get a little more intimidating. But I really say 2 is enough. And you might be able to meet somebody depending on like your seats or whatever. I feel like closer to the hardwood
is better.
you might get a quality man. Not saying that people in nosebleeds don't, but there's this. It's a difference.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I need to make my prayer before I walk into an event. God, I hope my husband here. Boom, love that sporting events.
Yes, sporting event, comedy shows.
I've been doing more comedy shows.
Yes, comedy shows are a lot of men that go out to those because they know women do go, and they might go. It might be you and your homegirl, a couple of y'all, and y'all have a table, and it's a good time. So they might go. I had a father son duo try to tag team me to see who was gonna get whom.
Okay, but who was you feeling though? Who was you leaning towards?
Low key, it probably would have been the daddy. But my mama was here. So, and it wasn't even that. It's just that sometimes, and I wasn't even at that time like dating. I was still, like doing my thing. And it was that the daddy peeped me. And we kind of had this interaction inside the club. But then the son came up to me after the club. And then he called me, and y'all, he left me a voicemail. And I was not, I'm like, you left a voicemail. No. So don't be leaving people voicemails, nice voicemails, long-winded voicemails. You should have just texted me.
Yeah, it's 2023.
I'm like, this is, if we're not in a relationship, don't leave me a voicemail. I just really, I know that's strange, and people like, oh, that's kind of me. No, don't leave me no voicemail.
Because even when people leave me a voicemail, I'm trying to go to the transcript. Like, okay, let me read through what they said because I'm not listening to this. So.
Yes.
It's funny you said comedy shows because I actually met someone at a comedy show last year. He was a comedian. And it definitely did not. It took a turn. It got a little toxic at the end, but that was girl. I gotta take by that. But it's to a point now where I'm like mature and I've stepped away, so I don't have a problem with hitting him up and be like, "Hey, you still mad, big head? I know you still love me." But no, it like I agree about comedy shows because I met him. It was a really fun 5-6 months. But it took a turn.
Was he a comic?
He was.
Yeah, so he must been in his feelings. Yeah, I would say don't date them, but I was like, if I saw go to the shows, might not date the person that's on the stage.
Got it.
Just letting y'all know. Just big sharing information with y'all. This is no big anybody. It's just the truth. Maybe not date them, but spectate.
It's the people in the crowd you should be talking to, not the
people in the crowd. People in the crowd.
See, I didn't even mean to. You know how you have that moment where your man walked to the kitchen. It was like a bar after the show, and we just locked eyes. And I was like, okay, I see you looking at me. You looking, and we just in that moment, I knew that me and him was gonna click because both of us was just talking shit back and forth, but just jokes on jokes on jokes on jokes. He ain't in the picture no more, but depending on how I feel tomorrow, I meet him
up. Okay. Another place, I would say happy hours. So when I worked in Beverly Hills, I would go to happy hour a lot after work because you can meet somebody pretty easy because everybody is getting off of work, or if you work like in a business district or hit a business district or financial district, you can meet somebody that kind of way too. I say happy hours because it's just so informal. It's not so serious. I've even met somebody like, and when I mean by meet somebody, I don't mean by like, oh, I met them and we dated. I went to my girlfriend and I went to get dessert in Beverly Hills at Ocean Prime. And there was a man that came over and he walked up to me. He said, "I think you my next ex-wife."
I know that's right.
And he was attractive. He was a nice looking older guy. They were selling like he was selling like insurance or something, and his son was like the top in the region or whatever it was. But he was like, I just had to come over and like see you, give you my
Yeah.
card, and blah 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 blah. Girl, I threw that card away. But it
It was fun. That was a fun little.
was nice. I was like,
I would have shot back with
nobody.
I'd have been like, I ain't signed no prenup, but I'll be your ex-wife.
Okay. I ain't signing shit because this is common, like community property out here. 10 years, like anything after 10 years, I'm entitled to have. Like, nah. So
Okay.
happy hours. Do something kind of lighthearted with your girlfriends, where it's kind of like informal because men will feel more comfortable. Because think about what you said. Maybe I counted somebody out before I even kind of felt them out. Men are very like particular about that and a little more insecure. So there's a level of pressure that comes with it, trying to engage with a woman and trying to feel them out to see what's going on. And another thing, when you're out with your homegirls, just don't no crossing the arms because it becomes intimidating to them, like you're standoffish. And so you want to be as open as possible, having fun. Make sure you smiling and laughing and kikiing it up and just like you're having fun because people will be more receptive to come up to you because they can feel and sense your energy too.
Right. Okay. I love
So yeah, so those are my top 3 places to go, and it's nothing like out of the ordinary. And another thing that people are doing, it goes back to sports. If you are in a place where a place might have a country club, sometimes those places might have a happy hour where you don't have to have a membership. So you can go in, you can might probably meet somebody because there's a lot of business deals that happen on the golf course and they end up at the bar too, afterwards eating. So you just never know. So just kind of be open to it.
Okay, I love the country club. Haven't heard that. But I have a question as far as like places to go because I've been hearing this a lot.
Yeah.
But it's giving, I don't know. So a lot of women are saying go to bars at like hotels. So whether it's like the London or stuff, go to bars. But then a bartender told me that the girls that go to those bars are escorts. So I'm like, I don't want to get confused with escort.
So okay, so yes, that is possible. That is very possible. I listened to another podcast, and the girl Kiki was saying that happened to her where she was just going to kind of change up her work environment ever, like and that's what happened. She was like, "What the hell?" Like, but that does happen. There's a way that you can kind of go about doing that. Like you might be with a friend. So I used to go to the Beverly Wilshire a lot, whether it be Wolfgang in the back, or I would go to the front, restaurant bar at happy hour, and I would go. I've gone a couple times by myself, but it was enough where the bartender, like, I looked familiar at that time. I was black with platinum blonde hair, so we weren't that many of us floating in that area. So and you also make nice with the bartenders too, people, so people kind of know, so they can look out for you too, so they know that you not own nothing like that. Be sure to kind of engage with them too. Like I used to have another spot. Oh man, I was so sad when it closed. They had these really fire devil eggs.
Girl, I'm hungry. That's about food.
These devil eggs were so good, and Bedford and Burns is what it was called. So it was on Bedford, in Beverly Hills, and so we had developed a relationship with the bartender. But I remember one time I was walking. Like I said, I felt like I could walk down the street and get a date, and sure enough, that's what happened. But I was talking about this person because this man had some hips. So I'm like texting my homegirl, so funny, and I was like, "Man, this man funny. We got these crazy hips." And he was walking weird. He was doing something, but I knew that he was like trying to like get my attention, and then he
Mhm.
asked me out. So I go out with him.
With
I
him?
take with him because
Uh-huh.
I was thinking maybe I was like wrong, like maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also looked up his LinkedIn.
Ooh, I be looking at LinkedIn too. Mhm.
And I was like, I should probably go out on a date with this person. Girl, the way I ended that date so quickly.
Oh,
I
during
took,
the date?
yes, I took hips was doing too much and not enough at the same time.
Mm.
And I will say this. This is also why it's imperative to have a bar where you know somebody because they pick up on cues and they know when you are uncomfortable. And
Right.
he was too touchy feely for me.
Mhm.
And I was like, yo, like we haven't really texted or anything like that. I'm just getting to know you. You talking about future plan. I not and don't get me wrong, like you telling me you're gonna take me on a trip and stuff, great.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like respect me a little bit. Get your hands up off of me. Like I
Yeah.
didn't say or
Yeah.
give you a cue where that was okay. So I
Mm.
think that yeah, I never saw him again. And I actually ran into him one New Year's Eve. I was going to like a club on Sunset and he was crossing. So he likes young girls like that are kind of what you would say, colorful, eccentric or whatever, or different. Because he was with some girl, she might have been Middle Eastern. And I was like, oh my God, there's hips.
I can't stand this because we're gonna call you by whatever feature that go hips,
Okay, like
that go
that's one
teeth,
thing
that
we're
go
gonna figure
ears.
out. We're gonna figure out something, and that is what you are, and that's who you are.
Forever.
Hips, forever
Forever.
hips.
Mhm.
So, but it was cool because they kind of knew, like they was like you, and I was just like, yo, like for real, like I'm over this. Like he's fucking weird,
Mhm.
and I'ma like dip out.
Girl.
So they, like kind of helped me out with that, and that was
Mhm.
it. So so that also pays to know. I'm trying to think of somewhere else if I could tell somebody where to go, but I would say those places have been the most.
I'm gonna go
I
with
would
that.
say the most options.
Yeah.
Like,
I fell into the trap. Like I would go into like black on the block, black market fleet, stuff like that, and it's just like
they be coupled up.
they that
They
a
be,
1,000%. I'm like
they
I'm
are
not finding
coupled up. I've seen that Instagram page. They are coupled up.
I ain't finding nobody here. But then also then you get the artsy fartsy dudes with the totes, and I'm like I don't want that. But that goes to show, like you said, dating, trying to find somebody in your age range. That's not where the guy that I'm supposed to be with is.
Yeah, you might need to kind of fall into my bracket.
Mm-hmm. Older
I
men.
don't. I'm a huge and not knocking men our age, right? I'm not knocking anybody, but
Mhm.
I just know from my experience, that's been my experience. I've had the most success dating up.
Mhm.
Um, like whether it be 7 years or 20 years,
Mhm.
that's just been the most
Oh, I need
successful.
to do a 20.
I'm telling you, if you do something that's 20 plus, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you can, have sex with them because it is a time. I tell people that all the time. If you get the opportunity and it presents itself, do it because the way they please women and make sure that things are happening, it is a key. It is amazing, and you will be very confused and
Right.
might not want to do anything else after that. Like, we need to figure out how to make this work because I've never experienced this before. But
Mhm.
the niggas be toxic too.
I feel like they all are to a certain extent. I've dated two older men. One 4 months in, I found out he was married. I said, "Wow, okay, this is what we doing." This is after he bought me a TV. This is after because he was a little trick. He was a little trick. He was a little trick.
And if you gonna trick, we gonna take it. We
And
not
I'm
telling you no.
take it. I'm gonna take it. But he was not smart, but like when we were together and he didn't have on his wedding ring. So I FaceTimed him one day. And so I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, is that a ring? And like I'm trying to be like, maybe it's his right. I don't know. But he was married and he was like, oh. Yeah. I was like, you're really, dude? Like,
Yep.
the other
Yep.
older man that I dated was a divorcee. So he already been married. He was like maybe 8 years older than me. So
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't looking for anything serious, but didn't
Serious.
really tell me that until a few months in. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all all the same. Y'all the same. Can't do this.
One piece of advice I could give you and anybody, this goes for men and women, is don't be afraid to have tough conversations and ask
Mhm.
tough questions in the early stage. Like even if it's like month 2, like date 2, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I have this Portuguese guy that I was dating, and he was fine. I met him at a Maxim Hot 100 party, and I was like drunk, and I remember seeing him, and I was like, "Damn, this motherfucker is fine." But I guess I mouthed it because he came over to me,
Mhm.
and we dated, and we hit it off. I asked him, did he want kids? Because I was like late 20s. I didn't want kids tomorrow, but I wanted it
Right.
to be an option. He didn't want kids. He was like 40, 41, 42. And he was like, I love my niece and nephew. I
Mhm.
don't want, I don't want kids. So I said, okay. And we continued today, but I wasn't really taking him seriously. And I
Right.
eventually broke it off with him because of that. And so, he spent the block on me, and I wanted to try it again. And he, eventually I ended it again. And he was like, why you break my heart again? I really I really care for you and blah, 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 blah. I said, you don't want children,
Period.
period. There's no way that you are 40 something years old. You are set in your ways.
Yeah.
There's no budging on that. And if you were to give me a kid, you would resent my kid. And I also don't want to resent you.
Mhm.
So I am bowing out. And so sometimes you might find somebody that checks certain boxes and you think it could work, but then if there's something that's a deal breaker for you, like walk away from it. And I really liked him. I was hoping that we could be friends, but I don't think he didn't want to be my friend. He did
Mhm.
not.
He wanted all of you. He wanted all of you or nothing. It's
Yeah. And sometimes men are like that and women are like that.
Mhm.
So you just kind of have to figure out what works for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where I'm at now, I feel like because I know what works for me, dating is harder, and I'm
Hmm.
trying not to be the person like you said earlier when we first started. Is like letting little things ruin stuff because I'm just like like my tolerance is so low for bullshit.
Hmm.
And I feel like that might hinder me. But then also the other side of me is like I'm not trying to take anybody serious, and that might also hinder me because it's like somebody may really like me, but I'm like,
Girl, you about to turn 30. 30 was such a I, I can't even say I wasn't single. Like I could tell you what happened at my 30th birthday party. Just know I took a plan B, okay?
see, I don't even got nobody on my roster right now to be able to.
Like, just know my ass took a plan B, and no, I was with the guy that I was with now, and it was just like my sister, her husband at the time came to town, and we was fucking on the couch, and niggas in my room, and it was just like a whole thing, and I ended up having to take a plan B. But 30, 30, I'm telling you, if just take your time.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is it's no rush because people are getting, divorced, people are breaking up. And I feel like if there are certain things that you um know that you can't tolerate, there's certain things people want women to settle so bad. And I don't believe in that, right? And so I was even, telling my play brother the other day, the difference between now and back then when our parents and our grandparents were dating is that women, we have jobs.
Yeah.
We tolerate enough bullshit from our jobs to not come home to have to tolerate enough bullshit from our partner. And it's the same thing for men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not desperate. I'm not pressed. I don't have kids by nobody. So if you're doing something and it doesn't align with me and it is like not right,
You got it.
I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
The concept of equally yoked to me means a lot of things. If you
Mhm.
are not mirror, I always get stuck there.
Yeah. I was gonna try to help, but I can't because I was like mirror.
mirror.
Mirroring.
If it's not that. We not yoked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not fucking with you like that. I can leave.
Yeah.
I don't have to tolerate abuse from people. I don't have to tolerate a man cheating on me and having a family on the other side of town.
Come on.
I don't. And men might think, I think a lot of men think that cheating is not a big deal. I understand, yes, and certain our ancestors were not, necessarily monogamous. But one thing that motherfucker was doing, making sure that if he had multiple wives, whatever, everybody was good.
He was.
Y'all not making sure everybody good. You're not even making sure that you're good because you ain't even been to the doctor in 6 years. So what are you even talking about, bro? So I don't owe you that. I don't owe your infidelity to me. If that's what we agreed upon and we didn't have a conversation, I think we're monogamous. If you're doing something else, you need to let me know so we can have a conversation to either open this shit up, or I need to be like, no, it's a no for me and I'm going about my separate ways. But see, people don't want to be honest about that. Honestly, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. No, tell me the fucking truth, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna be hurt either way the cookie crumbles.
I rather the truth hurt me than me going out finding out
some bullshit.
Yeah, I rather the truth, because I could get over that. I could get over that eventually. But it be the bull, like when you stringing people along, the bullshit. That's what it's like. I don't have tolerance.
Yep, it's a no for me. It's a no, and it's really, I think it's that simple. As complex as it might be for some people, it's really that simple to me, because what are we talking about?
Yeah. You said something on the head when you was like, you don't even take care of yourself. And dating, like, that's one of my biggest things. Like, how do you treat yourself? How do you show up for yourself? Like you said, you ain't been to the doctor. I was talking to somebody. I'm like, you ain't got health insurance? What are we doing? Like, it's so many things that like shows me how you're gonna treat me, and how you treat yourself is the main one.
Yeah.
Are you kind to yourself? Are you patient with your, like, how do you show up for you? I feel like it's something I pay attention to dating.
Yep. And that's a tough question to ask, and even to ask yourself. We all have been on journeys, and I feel like many people around me in my circles and what's happening now, and people falling off and, by the wayside. And, I think about where things are now, and a lot of people, my friends, mirror what's happening in my journey.
Yeah.
And it's like self-love, like being able to show up for yourself, we have days. I've been sick for like 2 weeks. Thank God, girl, I'm like better where I can I'm glad I went back, because I would have still been down not having no party on Thursday. I was like, that's my first month. Like,
yeah, I'm glad you feel better too.
Girl. And being in tune with your body, knowing when to rest, knowing when like something's not right, getting your things checked out. And being honest with yourself. One thing that I love myself. I love myself through the highs, through the lows, and I know I'm that chick. And I have always felt like that, even when I was a kid. Now my chemical balance might have been imbalanced.
Yeah.
But even through that, I was never disappointed in what happened, because I knew it was a part of my journey, and being able to speak up and speak out about it and speak to it, and being able to help other people, along the way. And a lot of people don't love themselves. Like, people always say, "Oh, would you marry yourself?" Hell yeah, I'm motherfucking fun.
Listen, I be telling people all this time. I love my own company. I love being, listen, in these 4 walls, like, I have a blast. Like, and I think recently, it's a difference between knowing you're all that bitch and owning it. I feel like I recently started to own it, because in the back of my head, I'm always telling myself like, you that girl. But like lately, I've been walking like it, and I can feel it, and I'm owning it. So
it's different. It's different, and when you get to that point, nothing really can shake you. Nothing that nobody can do to you. Nothing that nobody can say about you, because that's what the devil is going to do. Like, he is going to send his minions to kind of disrupt. And I'm like, oh, that bitch. I was like, I know I'm the villain, but I know how I really showed up, for that person or whatever. And it's really the reality. Like, we know that we are the villain in like somebody's stories, probably like multiple people's stories. And it's just like, I really did the best that I could do in my friendship at that point in time in my life, whether it happened good or bad. But I knew if it was bad, I was like, oh yeah, I own that shit. But if I know it wasn't, shit.
And I think that owning your own bullshit is key.
Yeah.
It's key. We Aquarian, so we know sometimes we be like, "Ooh, I was on bullshit," but I ain't gonna say it. But I feel like now, the older I get, I'm like, I was wrong.
Yeah, I was on bullshit.
Yeah. I love myself, and I love myself through my mistakes and through my mishaps. So if you can't accept it, then I'm gonna keep it pushing. But I'm gonna own it, and I respect how you feel. Like
and then there's sometimes there's certain things that happen where you're confused. Like, I don't recall really doing or saying anything, but also sometimes I realize that everybody can't hone in on the truth of a situation. When you are showing up as a friend that people ask for, some people can't take that. And so I just allow people to kind of like fall back on their own. And when you give me that type of energy, I know they say you shouldn't match, but sometimes I'm petty. Like, I'm matching it, and I'm not going to go above and beyond. And I know that that's something that I definitely said that I'm not doing this year. Is I'm the check-in friend. Like, if we might not have talked about, oh, I just thought about you. No, I'm not doing that, because that's not extended to me. That's not reciprocated. So yeah, I'm not doing that no more.
Because nobody checking on. Everybody say the strong friend, but nobody checking on the check-in friend.
Yep.
I know
but a lot of times the strong friend is the check-in friend. Because that's how I feel. I it's funny you say that. I literally had a homegirl say, I said, she said it was a whole bunch of bullshit that happened, but I said, I am not in the space to emotionally unpack this message. And then she was like, well, I look at you like the strong, but I don't want to always have to be the strong. Nobody wants to always have to be that person and hold everybody up, and I'm crumbling inside. No, I am human. I am human. And I think also, to be honest, like, that's why I'm looking forward to my birthday this year. So much chaos happened last year, so much loss around my birthday. It was that I could not even enjoy my birthday. You know, and 35 for a lot of people, like, we're like milestone birthdays. I was like, shit. To hear ask me, what you want to do for a birthday? I said, crawl under a rock and die. Like, I can really do that. Like, saying that mentally I am not okay. And he was like, no, friend, we're not doing this. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna do it. Would you be like, I'm like, oh, we can have, do this and do that. And that's who got me out the house.
Like, you need friends like that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I am not. So I'm like super excited, like complete 180 from where I was last year, being able to take a moment, take a step back, to be appreciative, to reflect, and just to be even just happy to be here.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what we're gonna celebrate you this week, girl.
Girl, my
birthday fit. You got your birthday fit?
Yeah, it's supposed to be here tomorrow. Pray for me.
We go. Send it up, because we celebrating you.
I ordered 2 dresses. Hopefully something fits. Yeah, that's all I got. Otherwise I'm gonna be at Nordstrom or Zara some kind of way.
That's why I'm going after this. I said, let me go.
Yeah, because I invited some fellas out that might be single. So, hopefully there are some a mixed crowd of people. I tried. I be trying, but I'll be trying.
Because I've met people, and I've had a good time, but they're just not my type. They're either too short, or but I'm open-minded. Like you, after it's like I'm very open-minded, so I'm just like to go out in these streets, just like,
yeah,
what you got for me? Because God ain't gonna steer you wrong. So God, what you got for me? He may test you, but He gonna steer you.
And be open and willing to receive it, and it might not necessarily look like how you're used to. So just and have fun. Like that's my advice to you. You are 30. Have fun. Do not allow society to tell you that you have a clock and that you have to meet things by the certain deadline or it will not happen for you. I'm turning 36. I do not have children. And I'm cool with that. Like I am seriously cool with that. I know people that have children that wish they would have waited. I know people at 40 that was like, damn, I still could have waited. You know,
Yeah.
having kids. So
Yeah, and I love that for
fun.
you. I love seeing women like doing what the fuck they want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and happy with it. I feel like the narrative is like we won't be happy or it's something we're missing out on. But it's like, no, like I'm loving life. Loving it. And I love that for you.
Yeah. And it's really, really knowing that things are already gonna work out how they're supposed to and resting in that. So that's been something that's very like that makes me happy. Being able to know that, you know, walking more by faith and not by sight. It's a process. Trust me, it's a journey, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't have it figured out, but I love me and I love where I'm going. And I'm so excited for it this year. And it just feels like the air feels so different about this year than it did for the past few years. So
Right.
yeah. But tell the people where they can find you on the social media. And if there's a nice fellow out here watching and wants to slide in her DMs, tell us, give us a top three. What is a must for you?
Ooh, I love this question. Okay, like we said earlier, you must love yourself. You must treat yourself with the utmost respect. Because if you don't respect yourself, you ain't gonna respect me. You gotta be kind. Kindness is different from being nice. You have to be genuinely a good person. So kind. And three, you gotta have vision. You gotta have like what's your 5-year plan? What's your 3? You got to have vision. Because as a man, if you want people to follow your lead, how to follow you and you don't know where you're going. Okay. So that's it. I'm not requiring much, you know. Well, I do require much. Let me not say that. I require stuff. But yeah, respect yourself, be kind, and have a vision.
Yes.
And the
And,
rest
and
follow.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I just want to remind everybody to, you know, take care of yourself, love on yourself, make sure broken. I know y'all be saying broken crayons in color, but two broke people cannot fix each other. It is contrary to popular belief. Y'all both need to go to therapy and heal, or however that looks like for y'all. Figure it out. But with that said, we will see y'all here next week. Don't forget we got the candles. I'll make sure I get a lot of content and get video from people too. So I'll put something up on the YouTube for my birthday. But we got the candles. Use code LOVE at checkout. You get 30% off your purchase of $50 or more. It's a good time. We creating experiences. I am not responsible for any child that is conceived while my candle is burned. I'm about to send the promo text out to everybody to remind them, and that disclaimer is in there because I am not responsible for y'all kids, and y'all can't send me for child support. I'm just letting you know. I'm letting y'all know what kind of party we having over here with these candles. We creating vibes and experiences, and that's all I got for y'all. And I will see y'all here next week.
Bye, everybody.